Have you ever wondered why certain settings in your applications seem locked in place? It can be really confusing, especially when you're trying to customize your environment. Today, we're diving into a specific question about TransactionScope timeout settings and why they are defined in machine.config. I totally get it. It can be frustrating when you want to make changes, but find out that some settings are out of your control. You're not alone in this. Many developers face similar challenges when working with TransactionScope. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. One user asked, why is the max timeout for TransactionScope defined in machine.config? Why can't I override it in app.config or just in code? If you've ever found yourself puzzled by this, stick around as we explore the reasons behind it. So, what's the deal with TransactionScope and machine.config? The max timeout setting is crucial for ensuring that transactions are managed effectively across different applications and services. By defining it in machine.config, it provides a consistent baseline for all applications running on that machine. And don't go anywhere. At the end of this video, I'll share a tip that can help you manage your transactions more effectively, so stay tuned. To understand why the TransactionScope timeout is defined in machine.config, we first need to recognize that this setting is part of the .NET Framework's configuration. The user should know that machine.config applies to all applications running on the machine. Next, the user should consider the implications of having a global timeout setting. This design choice ensures consistency across different applications, preventing individual applications from inadvertently setting conflicting timeout values. Now, let's discuss why the user cannot override this setting in app.config or web.config. The user should note that overriding machine.config settings at the application level could lead to unpredictable behavior, especially in distributed systems. Finally, the user should understand that while the TransactionScope timeout is fixed in machine.config, it can still be adjusted programmatically within the code. This allows for flexibility while adhering to the global settings. Fun fact, did you know that the concept of transactions in computing dates back to the 1970s? It's amazing how foundational ideas can still impact our work today. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. This user explains that the TransactionScope timeout is defined in machine.config to maintain a uniform setting across all web applications on a server. This allows for easy updates to the timeout value in one place. However, it is possible to override this setting in app.config or web.config by changing the allow X definition attribute to machine to application. This lets individual applications set their own max timeout while retaining the machine-wide setting. Additionally, the user shares a code-based approach using reflection to override the maximum timeout without modifying machine.config. This method avoids potential issues and allows for specific timeout settings for applications. The code accesses private fields of the Transaction Manager class to set a new timeout value before creating a TransactionScope object. Here's that tip I promised. Always document your transaction settings and any overrides you implement in your code. This practice can save you and your team a lot of headaches down the line. And there you have it. Now you understand why TransactionScope timeout is defined in machine.config and how to manage it effectively. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button for more insights, and don't forget to check out our other videos for more tips.